fundamentally, it's about our future and about our children's future. We only have one planet, and if we get it wrong this time, there's no second chance.
No planet B.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's fundamentally something that has been pushed off the agenda. I think it's good to see some of the recent publicity. We're now seeing that hopefully we'll bring that back to the fore. But there are limits to what district councils can do, but there's a lot more that we could be doing in East Cambs compared to what is happening today. Okay, there are things where the government needs to take action, but even there, that's something where the district should be using its power to lobby government to bring about change as well.
I don't know about you, Sean. I think there's a danger with the environment where we kind of almost put it into a niche. It's almost a middle class issue, isn't it? But it's not.
No. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it's often the less well-off people who live near the busy roads and suffer from the air pollution. So I think the environment is something for all of us. We all need it. I was listening on the way here to the RSPB, who've just launched a single of birdsong. And they recorded it partly to highlight the fact that so many of those birds are reducing drastically. Where would we be without birds? It's a terrifying thought. So the environment is vital to all of us, and I would choose that as my key thing as well, partly because it's what brought me into politics, that and anti-apartheid. And it's why I joined the then Liberal Party. I think that was over Save the Whales kind of thing, but it is so important, and you need action at every level, international, national and local. And there's a lot a district council can do. Through the planning regulations, we can make sure that there's always environmental gain from any planning application. We can make sure that there's always cycle paths and footpaths to encourage people to walk and cycle rather than get in their car. We can make sure that the housing quality is sustainable. Again, one of the things they're doing in South Cambs, as well as building at last more social housing, they're building it to a very high environmental standard. So not only will those people have a rent they can afford, but they'll have fuel bills that they can afford, and all of us will benefit because they won't be putting more emissions into the environment than they need to. So having proper planning policies, making sure we're building houses that are sustainable, and looking at where the opportunities are for alternative sustainable energy. I was involved with the Reach Community Solar Farm, and it was really difficult getting through the planning permission. We weren't professionals, we didn't have lawyers and planners, we were doing it ourselves, and I think it would be good if the district council gave community groups more help with that sort of thing, because it almost failed, because by the time we got our planning permission, the grid then turned around and said, but we haven't got the capacity to take your electricity anyway, and we managed to get them to change on that. But it is hard work doing a community energy scheme, and you're treated the same as a commercial developer, and I think the district council could treat community schemes. Obviously, they assess them against the same thing, but they could give a bit more help in how you get through the process so that you can put your application together effectively and get your permission or not against proper criteria. And I have a big bee in my bonnet. You were talking about the A142. For us, it's the B1102, and we get stuck at the Quay roundabout. And I worry about the villages along the way, the air pollution, and I would like to see the district council measuring that air pollution, because again, one of the problems you have with public transport and things is people say, it's very expensive. It's very expensive to serve the villages with public transport. So you need to have arguments on the other side. And if there is air pollution, and I'm sure there is, then that will be, as we've heard, increasing asthma and other lung disease. That has a cost. You can put an economic cost to that. Yeah. And you'll be able to say, okay, it would cost this much to put proper public transport in, but it's costing this much not to do it. Never mind the fact that people are suffering from asthma, which is not great. And then you can have we need to do something like they did all those years ago in London, where they grasped the nettle, they massively subsidised public transport, they made it cheap, reliable, and people got onto it. And then they introduced the congestion charge when people were already largely using the public transport anyway, which meant the buses became really reliable because they didn't get caught in traffic jams. And now my friends who live in London, I don't think any of them own a car. Some of them can drive and they might hire a car when they're going on a long journey or something, but they don't own a car because they've got really good public transport network.